This is the Dallas Morning News. It's Friday, October 10th. An abundance of sunshine with a high of 90 today. Clear tonight with a little less humidity and a low of 65. A mix of sun and clouds for both Saturday and Sunday, but it will remain hot with highs topping out at 91 both days. Overnight lows will be in the upper 60s. Here are today's headlines. 1 week before his third execution date, the state's highest criminal court granted Robert Roberson a stay Thursday, the latest development in an extraordinary case that has redefined the landscape and limits of capital punishment. The 58-year-old Roberson was scheduled to be put to death by lethal injection October 16th in Huntsville. He was convicted of capital murder in 2003 for reportedly shaking his 2-year-old daughter Nikki to death. His prosecution relied on proving Nikki showed symptoms of shaken baby syndrome, a medical determination that has since come under wide scrutiny by experts and even denounced by the man credited with establishing the theory. Roberson of East Texas's Palestine has maintained his innocence through more than 2 decades on death row and 2 previous execution dates, as he and his attorneys have argued new evidence proves his daughter died of accidental and natural causes, including severe undiagnosed pneumonia and a fall from bed. Roberson's lead attorney, Gretchen Sween, wrote Thursday, "Robert adored Nikki, whose death was a tragedy, a horror compounded by Robert's wrongful conviction that devastated his whole family. We are confident that an objective review of the science and medical evidence will show there was no crime." Roberson was not among the first to know he'd live. Sween, who'd just visited Roberson on death row Wednesday, said she tried calling the prison to deliver the news herself, but was denied access. In other news, Prasad Chopra was not expecting to win the fight against a 200-foot communications tower next to his neighborhood when he walked into Dallas City Hall on Wednesday. Dozens of his neighbors from the South Haven community watched the Dallas City Council approve utility company Oncor's request to construct the tower near their homes in Irving. Across the road, the tower would be situated in Dallas. The approval boiled down to Oncor's promise of creating buffer zones to shield the residents' backyards from the tower and making its services reliable, a federal law restricting cities' powers on communication towers, and the fact the protesters were not Dallas residents. Chopra said the way the discussion went, the way council members asked Oncor questions, it was predetermined. South Haven residents asked Dallas officials to set minimum distance requirements and proposed the tower be 600 feet away. They thought it would be possible for the company to look somewhere else in an 80-acre area. They worried that a tower that close by could fall on transmission lines, impact the children's park, and also harm property values. Next up, a Dallas Morning News survey of trans Texans found that 77 of the 90 respondents have picked a backup state they might move to. 27 had picked one since November, 76 had talked with in-state friends or family about moving, and 57 had begun saving money to move if they needed to. Those were among the key findings of the survey, which sought to gain insight into how transgender people currently feel about living in Texas. Respondents said anti-trans policies have complicated their sense of home here and created an environment where they live in an increasing and, for some, near constant state of fear. Almost every person who answered the News' survey said they'd had more trouble sleeping and felt less safe in public spaces since November. Over 2/3 said they'd been thinking more about suicide. Survey respondents were asked to share either a social media handle or a phone number. The News used the information to verify each respondent identified as trans and lived in Texas. The number of participants does not meet the threshold for a scientific survey, but the results offer insight. About 93,000 trans adults live in Texas, making up less than 0.5% of the state's adult population, according to the Williams Institute at UCLA School of Law. According to the Institute's estimates, about 20% of all transgender people in the South live in Texas. Thanks for listening. For more on today's stories and the latest breaking news, visit dallasnews.com. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll be back on Monday with more from the Dallas Morning News.